Moving on to uh, 6B, quarter two financials. Morning.
So the quarter two financials are the months of July, August, September. So the balance sheet is actually the same as the balance sheet in September, and the income statement is a summary of income and expenses over those 3 months.
Robert?
So, yeah, John.
I'd just like to move the quarter Q2 financial statements.
Okay.
Move acceptance.
Seconded by Connie. Discussion. Hearing none, motion carried. Credit card report, do you want that to be in public or in camera?
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just outstanding receipts, that's all.
Okay.
It's just to give, I know the last term Trevor mentioned that, you know, when they're not aware of what's outstanding, why isn't it brought to their attention sooner? So it's coming just as part of the kit of what's outstanding, so you have it there.
Is that in, is it in here?
Yep, it's, yeah,
Oh, it's not in mine. Okay.
yeah, it's
Is it under a different tab?
It's under 6.
Tab 6.
Oh, 6?
Oh, no.
John.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, well.
You go right.
Okay.
So do we have to move to accept it, or just?
I think it's information only in it, Connie?
It's information only. We have
One
the,
discussion.
yeah, well, discussion. I guess probably what would be helpful, Paul, is if we just have it attached what the policy is, and we just have it there so that council's got it in each meeting. So if anything is required, then it's right there for them.
Yeah, basically make that like the cover page going
Yeah.
forward,
Yeah.
So I guess if there's a good news story to this, this is considerably less than previous. So anyway, I think what I'd like to say though is that, you know, let's make a commitment to really managing this fully. Make sure that all of us get our receipts in on time so that Sandra can do her work, or whoever else in Port Alberni office that has to check it off. And the one thing that I've noticed is that I'm going back to some hotel. Oh, I forgot to get a receipt. So I'm going to start using some. I'm going to get them to forward my room receipts to my computer. That way I don't. If I do forget it, I'll get it. So that's one of my ways of managing it. But for myself, though, after I finish a trip, the first thing I do is give my receipts to Sandra, and I give her a little summary report of the dates I went on the trip, what the receipts were for, and the purpose. And I think that that's helpful for our records to show that, you know, what the purpose of the travel was. Because that we should always have a purpose of going on a business trip, and so that's what I do with my reports. I'm glad to give a crash course on what I do. Just kidding.
Do a seminar?
Yeah, do a seminar. $10,000 a day. Like other consultants. It's just a jab to consultants. Okay, Any other comments regarding credit card? Charlie?
I just want to say, I feel this is an important matter, and I hope, Robert, that you hold us accountable for any policy we're following. Some of this ties into the last term, but this term we need to have zero tolerance and we need to make every effort and keep each other accountable.
Yep. Gotcha. Okay, any other comments regarding 6C? Hearing none. 6D, pre-approval of contracts. Connie?
That's just the standard one that we have, I believe, on the agenda every month, and I think there's just the one, correct? Paul, do you want to go through it?
Sure. So the one is pre-approval for a new contract with an investment manager. For the investment management policy regulation, the finance committee also acts as the investment committee, and they've undertaken a process of reviewing our investment policy statement, which they've updated, as well as created a spending policy to kind of determine the appropriate amount to draw from the invested wealth fund each year and put into our general revenues for budget. So after those were updated, we undertook the process of request for proposal for investment managers. And we are currently in the middle of that process right now. So this pre-approval would be for a contract with the selected firm from that process.
We have a motion.
Okay. Is there you didn't have one in mind.
No? 6D?
You might convince me in. Okay.
Okay, I'll move it.
Yeah. Moved by Connie. Who has that motion? Seconded by John.
Could I have a comment?
Any discussion? I think I could learn that.
This work
Okay,
has
can blow it up
actually
too.
been just to...
Yeah, that's what I need. Yeah.
This work that the finance committee is doing on this has actually been, has been good for us, I think, for the committee. They're quite involved in it, and so the next stage of interviews happens next month. So, yeah, it's kind of funny to say, but it's been enjoyable for the whole group. Very dry material, but it's been enjoyable.
Okay. More discussion in that one.
Yeah.
I found it. Okay, hearing no more discussion, motion carried.
So on the approval of contracts, I had the idea that it might be useful for us to see a monthly report on how the contracts above $25,000 are doing. So it could just be like a cover sheet with a spreadsheet that shows how much money is being put, like every month, an update on those specific items.
Okay.
And it could just be helpful for us to see just an overall list of all of the contracts that we have over 25,000, but also how those are progressing over time in the same way that we do see in regards to our overall financials. But we often talk about contracting being kind of a sore spot in regards to where money goes out. And this could be a way for us to kind of keep track on whether or not that's actually true, but also whether and to what degree we're comparing, okay, I just signed a check for $17,000.40 for 1 month, what actually happened, right, to this company? And then it allows us to ask the question of,
Yeah.
okay, this month a lot of money went into this ABC company, consulting firm. What is the nature of that consulting firm and what does it do?
Right.
So we do something similar, but a lot more unwieldy at the ACRD in regards to every director has access to every outgoing check. And it's not a picture of the check itself, but just a Excel spreadsheet line of who it's for, how much it's for, and then the coding of it. And it's just so people can see, okay, why is there a check to this and that company instead of this company? And it's like, well, it's a subcontract, but it's whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then that allows us to have an understanding of not just the overall total budget line item at the very bottom of September, but actually looking into what you were doing is where are we above, where are we below, what is the value of a contractor compared to the value of an employee, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And that can be helpful. Plus then we can see patterns emerging that may not be apparent over time, and go from there. So then we'll know when March Madness is, or when things get difficult, or where we do need help. So I don't know if I need to make that a motion, but if
I
we
was just
can-
wondering.
Yeah.
Maybe you should.
Okay, I was thinking the same thing, but I
Yeah.
think if we gave direction to Kathy that be done. Should be- Unless you're more comfortable making.
I'll just make a motion.
Okay.
So I'll move that Executive Council will receive a report on the monthly status of all contracts for this fiscal year above $25,000.
Okay, seconder? Okay. Connie? Discussion? And just the only comment that I like about that this is accountability at all levels. I think right now, the only accountability that seems to exist is us here. There should be accountability at all levels. And so I really appreciate this motion. Thank you.
Okay, on that, I have another motion.
Okay.
In regards to, I'd like to see an overall just breakdown of the People's Assembly. All the costs involved, including staff time and materials and everything related to that. I don't necessarily need to see persons' names, however. What I'd like to see are the types of jobs that are being done and the costs, but also a report on whether and to what degree we're direct awarding or using 3 quotes, or if it's one of those kind of things where we got stuck and we had to go with this or that, have it go well, especially knowing that there were some complications and what we can do from a decision-making perspective to avoid them and so on and so forth.
Okay, you're moving in?
Yes.
Seconded by Alicia. Discussion?
I just want to make a comment too, in line with what John was saying about this. One of the other pieces of information I think would be valuable, I don't know if it's part of this or if it would be, because there's a benefit in it too, in having it here. So I'm curious, I'm wondering, of us making the move to here, what has the benefit been, for us recognizing we own businesses and what has that contributed to that? So, there's that other number that's got a question mark over it, so I'm curious as to how we can make that, is that something that should be part of this as well, along with what you're saying, John?
I think the CEO of the company is
You didn't mind the People's Assembly being down here?
I quite frankly, I thought it was fantastic. It was, I've only been to 2, but it got everyone into the same room at the same time, and it kept the agenda flowing. So if people don't kind of go off to Walmart or whatever.
Distracted by camera.
Yeah, and it's a stable platform, so. And one last note on the tourism, it proves that larger conferences can be held here, which is important for the future.
Awesome.
Okay, that was number 6 on my list.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I think John's reading my notes here. No, it's not. I just brought it up. Just shows that we must think alike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we've done that. Number 6E, HR vacancies, decision, Connie?
It's got Kathy's name there.
Oh, sorry, Kathy. I must have just seen it, but
It's just because we've had 2 people resign in the last month, and so we are wondering about the HR freeze with regards to those positions. One of the positions is in the social services project, which is fully funded by Canada, so I think that one can go forward, but just wanted some clarity around that. The other position is in the cultural department, and now with that, we are down to 0.5 person in the cultural department, so I just wanted to flag that for executive council.
What about the daycare?
Those positions have been posted, and we haven't been getting any response for the one here. And then the daycare in Port Alberta, we also have a vacancy there. And one of the challenges is in posting a temporary position. People don't want that. People want long-term employment security. So.
Robert?
Yeah.
So on that, the daycare ones, did you say you were having problems with both?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we've had a resignation, and we've had 3 resignations in the last month. So one was at POUTS in Port Alberni.
Okay.
One was the protection support worker in the child and family wellness team, and one was the cultural wellness coordinator, administrator, I'm not sure. And then we also have the vacancy for the POUTS down here that we've been trying to fill for a few months now.
Kathy, am I right in understanding that one of the positions we lost was because that Kuwait employee was able to get a higher paying job somewhere?
That's correct.
So-
That might be the case for all 3 of them, I'm not sure, but it's definitely for one.
So to me, what that says is that maybe we should be reviewing our wage scale.
That is actually something
We have
that needs to happen.
That's where the evaluation and the review, like the sooner we get that work done, then these kinds of things can be addressed. I know the cultural wellness worker, cultural worker anyway, I know Trevor had some really strong thoughts around that position. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure he's talked to you, Derek, about some of his thoughts on that position. Yeah, I think the Child and Family Services, the protection worker, I believe that position can be posted and filled. As far as measuring the pay scales and the other positions, we just have to get this work done. And I know we've been waiting for the hiring of the ED, but maybe we should just get on the work and bring the ED into because we still have the associate ED who could play a role, because that's the associate ED's role anyway, right? HR? So could we not just get on with that work and then bring the new ED in, and the associate can bring that ED up to speed of where we are? Because it would be nice to get this work done.
What's holding up that part of the evaluation meeting?
The hiring of the ED.
I believe that was part
I'm
of the
failing to
motion.
see how
Yeah.
that's connected.
It was part of the motion
Yeah.
that said that the work would be reviewed by the new ED.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then now, okay.
So if we could change that and just get this work going, the associate ED is going to be the main player.
Do we mean
in it.
amend that motion?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have that motion? Can you pull that motion? Tom?
So I'm open to that as long as we do leave it open for the executive director, whomever that may be, to be able to provide advice in the future on what changes may need to occur.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, and we'll do anyway. The only thing we're allowing is the work to get done,
Yeah.
right? But we will still, well, you can have that worded in the motion.
I guess the only thing we could add to that, John, is that the ED has the ability to make changes to the organizational structure below the director level. So that could happen as long as they're not concerned about the director level constraint.
Okay. So I think whatever that clause is, you should probably just pass a motion to rescind that particular clause and then just leave everything else in place.
Okay, you gonna move that then?
Well, yeah, whenever we get there.
So the
I
motion
gave
that-
you an opening.
The motion that was passed says, be it resolved that Executive Council hereby moves to approve to put a freeze on all hires, promotions, and salary increases until they have had an opportunity to conduct a full review of the organizational structure until the new ED has been hired.
Okay, then if it's just one clause, let's just rescind the whole clause then. So I would move that we just rescind the whole clause, the whole thing,
Okay.
if it's just one paragraph.
Just what rescind the whole thing, what?
The whole thing, it's just one paragraph, it's not split into bits, so we just get rid of it and then we replace it with what we want.
Can't
So,
we just amend the motion to remove the, until the new ED
Yeah,
is hired?
that's what I was thinking.
okay, well,
Yeah.
that's procedural at that point, whatever you want to do. It's cleaner just to kill the whole thing and then replace it with a new one, but it doesn't matter.
However you want to do it, we can do bullets so we can rescind that motion, but then go to then.
Okay, can you read it out again? And just like at each comma, stop a bit so I can write it down.
So Executive Council hereby moves to approve to put a freeze on all new hires, promotions, and salary increases.
Okay, can you start again?
Yeah, I was distracted, sorry.
Executive Council hereby moves to approve to put a freeze on all new hires, promotions, salary increases.
Okay, and then everything after that is,
Until they've had an opportunity to conduct a full review of the organizational structure.
okay, so just get rid of everything after until. So instead of a weird, I think just instead of a weird like amendment to that, we'll rescind that whole motion and then just replace it with the thing that says everything before until.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I would move that we rescind that motion. And then we just replace it with the one that says freeze new hires.
Three bullets.
Yeah, the three bullets.
Yeah.
With the understanding that new hires means new positions, not non-existent, like new positions, new hires, not filling ones that are already budgeted.
So in other words, the people that have resigned, those positions would be open then?
Yes,
Okay.
because
So
it's
that's
not
good.
new hires, right? That's just replacing the budget. So we already said that in a previous motion, but this would clarify for the people in the audience. Yeah.
Because we've had this discussion a couple of times now. So not new hires, the ones that are already in the budget, but the positions that are already filled.
Yeah.
Not the positions that are budgeted but haven't been filled yet.
Except for the ones that we gave exceptions to.
Exactly.
So those still exist.
Yes.
But if someone resigns for no reason, we can't not refill it.
No,
because
I'm
it
just
already-
clarifying what
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
John took over as chair there for a second. I don't know if you caught that.
Okay. So I moved the rescinding that.
Are we adding it all in one or just doing two different ones?
Well, whatever. Yeah, let's just replace it and then do a B that replaces it with,
So, a motion to rescind that, and then we'll deal with the new motion. Motion to rescind? John?
yeah.
Second by Connie. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, motion carried. Okay, now another motion.
And then it's exactly the same as the previous motion, without the stuff after until.
So to approve,
Yeah.
put a freeze on all new hires, promotions, salary increases until, oh,
Without until, but can I suggest, put a freeze on new hires, promotions, and salary increases with the exception of identified positions
Um,
on the whatever was.
that are vacant or
I
that
wanna
become
understand this
vacant?
motion. I gotta surely understand this motion here. Is it saying then, John, that, for example, we've approved the budget, and in that budget, there's positions,
mhm.
in which some of them never got filled?
And that stays the same.
Yeah.
That stays the same?
Yeah.
But those positions can be filled by this motion, or
The
cannot be filled?
position, no, the ones that,
That
so
were
the,
filled, but then vacant, we want to refill them.
No, I'm asking, does the motion enable us to still, if there's a budget, it's approved budget, does that mean that those positions will be able to be filled?
Not approved. So what it is the three positions that have been vacated this month, I can fill those. But there were positions that
Yeah.
at the fiscal year beginning were budgeted for, but were vacant at that time, and those ones
From the
can't
very
be.
beginning.
the new
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Except for the five that we already
Yeah.
identified previously.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the intention there is if we haven't already filled ones that were created at the beginning, those ones stay vacant, except for the ones that we've granted an exception to on the 17th or whatever.
Yeah, it was fine.
But anything that was already filled with a person, not just a position, and then they move on or get fired or whatever, we can fill that in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I don't know how to put that, but you can fill that in here.
So I put, be it resolved that executive council hereby moves to approve to put a freeze on all new hires, promotions, and salary increases with the exceptions of the positions that have already been budgeted and have become vacant.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah.
Okay, mover, John, seconded by Connie, discussion? Everybody clear on the,
Yeah.
Comment?
yeah, come, good job.
So I believe in the intention here. I hope that we learn from this and the next election year, the next group has the opportunity to have kind of some ideas in place. We talked earlier about the possible underperformance this year and the election, the whole process, and then this, like, definitely, if there's not learnings, there's gonna be major impacts to operations every election. And that's gonna come no matter what, but I'm hoping for us to learn from this experience. I understand why we're doing it, but I just hope that in 3 years, we're not possibly, we can't have down months, and we've had a lot of down months, so I just wanted to point out, or voice my concern about making sure we learn.
I don't think this motion was connected to the election in one way or another. Connie, and then?
Yeah, so with the new motion, I would just like to get going on the work. And so working with the finance committee, with the HR, if we could, like, I would like to have it done like right away. So to make it a priority, I'm hoping from this table. And I hear what you're saying, Charlie, but we have no control over what the election and who's gonna be in it, and anybody can decide to throw any kind of wrenches.
Yeah,
But that wasn't the intention of it, but it also wasn't the intention that it was gonna, we would still be sitting here talking about it, that it should have been, I thought, completed by now, but like you say, we're learning and we're growing.
Ed?
There needs to be more communication with our citizens on our growth and what our employees are doing. So then there's some understanding of how we're growing, and that to reach something in our strategic plan. Where we are the number one employer. I think that there's been a lot of thought in the process into creating those positions that are frozen. And I think that Charlie raised something about last election 4 years ago there was a freeze, and then there was you know, a lot of those positions that were taken away, you know, they exist today. So then I think that if we're more, I would say, I think that if we're in a better place, you know, by the end of our term, so then knowing that our citizens know exactly why those positions exist in what they're doing. So then it's, everybody's in the know of what everybody's doing. So then knowing that, you know, those positions are created for a reason. And, you know, and then I think it would be great as well to sit in really identifying, you know, okay, maybe we don't need this position. You know, I think that if we are in a good place by the end of our terms, so then that transition for the next council, you know, is a little more smoother. And, you know, it's difficult, you know, we're seeking an ED, and I think that it's just unfortunate. You know, there's a lot of people that want to come home. There's positions that should be filled. You know, I think that you know, bringing back that motion, and then I think it's a good step in the right direction. And I can feel where you're coming from. You know, we want to get it done. You know, so we want to create positions for our people. And, just make sure that they're good positions, so that we can grow and go into the future. But I think that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. The closing comment I want to make is that the evaluation was to do exactly that. You know, like, you know, are these positions we really need? You know, are we underpaid? Are we treating all our staff equally? There's when I look at things, I see things quite differently than most. I see, for example, boy, our Hooyet people, when it comes to them, there's no hesitation to get rid of position, demote, get rid of, don't attend to. That's throughout our organization. But yet, when I see people that are non-Hooyet, there seems to be a really huge effort to accommodate their concerns and their interests more so than Hooyet citizens' interests. And that happens more at the lower level than the higher level. That's from my perspective. So it all depends which lens we have on it. I'm a Hooyet citizen. I live in Pechina Bay. So I see things differently than someone that lives away from home or doesn't see what's happening every day, doesn't see the thing. So that's why I wanted the evaluation done. I really think that we need to become an organization that is fair to all of our people, all of our staff. And we go out and make do our best to make it work. And that's not dismissing that right now, and I've said it probably hundreds of times, that I really appreciate the work that our staff does. There's just been so much success about things that we do. And you know, I never lose sight of that. But that doesn't mean I should lose sight of things that affect our people, where the morale in one community might be lower than the morale in another community. And the only way we can do that is that we've got to get to know each other more. There needs to be more interaction between our people that work in Port Alberni with our people that work down here. And I think this last People's Assembly, I believe the people in Pechina felt more part of Hooyet than in a long time. I really did. That helped us. John?
So I'm interested in having a conversation at some point offline about examples of what you think the unfairness is.
Yep, sure. Gladly.
And then I'd also like to ask and have follow-up after the answer. If there is a mandate or terms of reference for the review, and if not, I'd just like to propose a quick 4-point resolution to kind of give